So I just always felt like there was a better way. And so I eventually, through doing these other businesses, got closer and closer to understanding how to do that.
Welcome to another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast. My name is David Gilliland. I'm one of your hosts. And today we have with us Sean Bingham. Sean, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to get in here and share some stuff and learn from you.
Sean started a business. You may have seen him. I think he was one of those Shark Tank entrepreneurs out there that got some investment there. Is it Trippio or Tripio? How do you like to say that, Sean?
Tripio, Tripio.
Trippio. Great little app, especially if you're looking at huge company excursions where you want it all planned and perfect. Like, I got like 150 top salespeople. Like, this is the kind of app for you. But the cool thing I noticed was you don't need to be big. You can be small and go and use it too and jump in. Is that right, Sean?
Totally, yeah. The app is really for anybody, right? So you can go on a trip with your family or just with your friends, and the app will help you find the coolest stuff to do and see, and places to eat and experiences to have based on your preferences. So you enter your preferences, and then we'll feed you the best stuff to do. And then we also, of course, like you said, do the corporate retreats, and yeah, we've done groups as small as 8 people and as big as 200. So we're taking teams of all sizes right now.
Very cool. Anyway, I I happen to be right now on vacation with my family, so these things are top of mind.
Yeah.
Sean, how did you get started in this? What got you into it in the first place?
Yeah, I've always kind of had like a entrepreneur itch, even as a little kid. I just always liked doing my own thing and starting my own stuff. And I had like a car detailing business as a teenager where I'd like, you know, go to businesses and I would detail their cars on location, and so I've just always loved doing my own thing. But specifically to get to Tripio, I had businesses prior to this that I've exited from that were always kind of geared around travel, adventure. The first one was like a sunglasses brand that was like the branding was all around like adventure and travel. And then we went into an event company called Adventure Hunt. That's actually what we were on Shark Tank for, by the way, was Adventure Hunt. And we're actually in the process of selling that company right now. But that one was all up. It was a scavenger hunt. It was like a treasure hunt. So it was like this activity where you would solve clues and complete challenges with teammates that would guide you around your city to like a buried treasure chest. And so I was always doing things that were geared around adventure and travel. And it seemed like each business kind of like got me closer to my true calling, I think, which is Tripio, which is just genuinely just travel. I'm a big traveler. It's one of my favorite passions in life. And I just have always felt like there was a better way to do it. It felt like all the resources that I would turn to were really just pitching me things that like are in their best interest. Like TripAdvisor gives you the top 10 ways they can make money off of you, not necessarily the top 10 things to do based on what you want. And I found myself falling in some tourist traps occasionally, things that were like, I got there and I'm like, this isn't anything that I hoped or thought it would be. So I just always felt like there was a better way. And so I eventually, through doing these other businesses, got closer and closer to understanding how to do that. And I feel like we're doing it now. So that's kind of how I got here.
Very cool. Well, I mean, you've grown this well beyond a inviting friends to go on trips and getting money from them or whatever.
Yeah.
You've got a
Yeah.
whole team. You take big groups out there. You've passed your million mark. What
Yep.
have you learned since passing that mark? Since growing your team a little bit beyond, and what's helped you succeed now in the last year or so?
Yeah. When we started doing these trips, these big group trips, they kind of did fall in my lap a little bit, right? Like, but I think the thing that helped the most was just truly being passionate about it and therefore being good at it. Um, and we had done so if with Adventure Hunt, if you won the treasure hunt in your city, the grand prize was you got to go on this vacation to Panama. And so once a year for like 4 years in a row, we would take big groups of people from all over the United States and we would go to Panama the same week and we'd stay in these villas down there together. And it was just an amazing week. And it was during that time where I was like, man, this is like a really fun group trip. And every time I go on a trip with friends, I'm the one planning it. I bet people would pay for this, like I bet people would pay. So So we just, started to set up booths at trade shows and things like that. And we got a couple deals, and then I would post on Instagram, and then all of a sudden people started sending me DMs like, "Hey, like I'm trying to get together a group for this, or we've got this big group wedding." I remember doing a destination wedding, and they're like, "You do weddings?" And then the entrepreneur in me is like, "Of course I do weddings," but I'd never done a wedding before. I've not even been married myself, and so, but we just kind of learn and go. And I would say the thing that's helped the most is truly, and I don't say this to brag, but it's truly just being really good at it, because all of my clients repeat and their trips get bigger every year. And so then they tell, I've had people call and say, "Hey, we've never met. My name is such and such. I talked to so and so. They travel like crazy. They've never had more fun than they did on your trip. I just want to book a group of 30 people to go to Rio de Janeiro with you and get a deposit that day." And so I think if you really are good at something, it just kind of naturally helps you rise to the top. And again, I don't say that to brag, but more just to emphasize to people, like, focus on, in my opinion, focus on the quality that you're outputting. And if the quality is really, really high, the money's going to come. That's been my experience with these trips for sure.
Cool. So just keep focusing on that product market fit. Just getting
Yeah.
really good at it. And 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 you mentioned something else down there that it's not just because, oh, we're trying to do a good product. You have a passion for it.
Yep.
You love it, and so it pulls you all the time, right?
Yep.
It's just a drive. That's fantastic. They, any other insights, any other nuggets you think would be worth sharing? We should
Yeah. Yeah.
glean
Just,
from you.
just on that same, kind of line of thinking that you just mentioned, like, I don't know if people out there, or if you would know how GoPro was started. It was, for those that might not know, the guy that started GoPro, he was just a surfer bro that, like, wanted to get a good shot of him surfing in the barrel of a wave. And so he had such a passion for, like, surfing and getting that epic shot, that he just started working on, like, how to do it. And that's where he came up with an HD camera that attached to the front of his surfboard. And before you know it, it was a GoPro that was a multi-billion dollar company. And so I do think that if you're passionate enough about something, um, when the speed bumps come, because anyone that's an entrepreneur understands that every day there can be something new that arises that was unexpected, unwanted, some sort of new hiccup or speed bump. But if you're passionate enough about it, you'll keep pushing past those things, those barriers. And if you're not, and I've been there with different businesses where I got to a point where I was like, you know what, like, I don't think I'm passionate enough about this to keep pushing through. I think I want to look for an exit instead. And I think if you have real deep passion for something, you will find a way to overcome the obstacles that are placed in front of you. And that's where you're probably going to have the most success, is with something that you truly love, because you'll just keep going when the hard times come.
I love that. It does get us. Um, if we grow, we run into more obstacles,
Yep.
and so that's just the way it goes. And
Yeah.
if you don't have the drive, some of the obstacles are like not even worth overcoming to you.
Yep.
Uh, how do you manage that with a team that's growing? I mean, it's
Yeah.
nice for you to have passion, but it kind of gets diluted as you get to 20, 30 people, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. And this is something where I'm actually excited to learn from you on. But something that's helped us is, I have learned through time, um, to be slow to hire and quick to fire. I learned that phrase a while ago, and it took me a little bit of trial and error before I realized the importance of it. But make sure that the people you bring on the team truly do share your same vision and
Yeah.
goal and passion. And they don't have to be the same person as you. I think diversity is actually amazing, but if you're a travel company, they should be into travel. you know, um, if you're a, I don't know, whatever company it might be, a tech company, whatever, if you're into sales or whatever it might be, the person should share that same passion and drive and vision. And you can learn that quickly through a series of interviews, through some, um, through contacting their references and things like that. But I also, and this has just helped me. And again, I'm not saying this is the best way to do it, but I'm pretty big on hiring people as, like, freelance, 1099 independent contractors first. And then as they excel at that, I bring them in and say, "Hey, I'd like to offer you, like, a more full time role." And for me, at the level we're at, that's actually been very, very helpful because the cream rises to the top. And there's a lot of people that I thought were going to be amazing that turned out to just be kind of good contractors, but not someone I'd want to put on like full time employee payroll. And then there's one in particular where she came in and she's our lead guru. Her name's Gemma, and she actually lives in Ireland. I put up a application on LinkedIn, and somehow it found its way to her. And she just she interviewed good, not great, but good enough that I wanted to offer her um, a job. But I was going to offer her, I wanted to offer it to someone else first, so I did actually. And that guy ended up being someone that I fired quickly. He just quickly was not a team player. That's the other thing, is are they a team player? Are they communicative? Do they take feedback well? Are they excited? Are they positive? Do they bring the energy level up? And anyway, so we ended up going back to her, hired her as kind of our second choice, to be honest with you. And she knows this, so she won't be offended when she hears this. But she just immediately excelled past everybody that was already on the team. Like, I'm talking within months, I was like, she's the newest and she's by far the best. Kind of like if I'm a big sports guy. Like, if you watch The Last Dance, they say it took about 2 weeks before they realized Michael Jordan was the best player on the team when he was a rookie. That's how it was with this girl. So be slow to hire, quick to fire, and let people show you their true colors, and know that they will, and elevate them, when they do, and reward them with, a bigger role and maybe a little bit of a raise and things like that. So long
I
answer, but
love
that's yeah.
I love that advice. I mean, and also the reminder to all of us of like, you're hiring a UI director or you're hiring an ops director. You're not hiring a professional interviewer.
Yeah. Yeah.
They may not do great in the interview and they may rock it in your business.
Yep.
Can you, in some way, try before you buy? Right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
And,
love that. Great advice.
yeah. And for me, that's where we do we'll give them some contractor work. Hey, if you want to do this, we got a 2 week project we'd love to have you work on. We'll pay you for it and see how it goes. And if it goes really well, then offer them a job, something like that. That's not always possible, I realize, but yeah.
Yeah, but what a great way! What a great way to
Yeah.
look at that. The key in there is how do we help the interviewing process more closely mimic the job that they need to be in and do?
Yeah.
Can you have them show you some work? Can you have them tackle a problem? Can you have them work with your team on something? And
Hmm.
pay them for a day, pay them for a week, pay them for 2 weeks to do exactly that.
Yep.
That is so much cheaper
Yeah.
than bringing someone on wrong.
Yep. And it's also easy to let them go because you're at a point where it's like, well, you never were really
It-
hired.
yeah, it
This
was
has
a
been great.
project and it's done. I just don't
Yeah.
give you another project. You just walk
Exactly.
away.
Exactly. That's how we do it. So I remember with we just recently hired some new developers because the app is expanding and we needed more help. And man, I must have interviewed. We probably got 200 plus applications. Based on their application, I had a system down where I could kind of pinpoint who I wanted to interview. Probably interviewed 25 different developers. Um, and then from there, we narrowed it down to another. Well, maybe we interviewed even more than that, but we probably had about 20 that took this test on Hacker Rank. And Hacker Rank, for those that don't know, is a really awesome system to kind of see how good someone is at coding. Because if you're like me, I'm not a developer. And you kind of just are taking someone's word for it. And so I got my existing development team to interview them with me. They'd give me their feedback, and then we'd send people this Hacker Rank test. And man, people that I thought, there was a guy I thought he is for sure the guy. He's the best. He interviews the best. He just, there's no question this is our guy. And he failed 3 straight Hacker Rank tests, and I was like, he is just not our guy. Like, we can't do it.
Right.
Um, so that is one way, and I would love to learn from you, David, like some ways that you've interviewed properly and found the best teammates, because that's something I'm still very much trying to do
Yeah.
well, and something I've at times done well and at times struggled with.
I mean, before we, and I'm glad to share more of it. Like, But what's the value? I mean, because we got a lot of entrepreneurs listening on this. We're all seven-figure business owners, you and me, and everyone listening.
Yeah.
We have a lot of issues on our plate. Why is this issue actually important? Why does this rise to the top two? Why? What's the value behind getting better at this interviewing?
There's a saying I like when it comes to like building a good team. And it's if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I want to go far. And I know that as I hire new teammates that work, for instance, we'll go back to the example of Gemma. She has completely taken over an aspect of the business that I no longer really even look at because I just trust her so much.
Yeah,
And it's a really important aspect of the business. So for me, I would love to find more people to take over more aspects of the business, more jobs, because you can't do everything. And as anyone that started a business knows, at the beginning, you're wearing a ton of different hats. You're the CFO, the CMO, the CEO, you're the everything. And as you hire that out and grow and grow and you hire properly, it just gets better and bigger and more
yeah.
fun. So that's to me where the value is you can just grow so much better, when you have the right team.
We find we kind of, most of us, not every business, but especially in the services, which you're in, as services and a SaaS supported service,
Yep.
within that within that services realm, that you can't very easily build a business beyond 1 or 2 million if you're the guy or you're the gal with a bunch of
Yep.
helpers.
Yep.
To go to 10 and 20 million, they can't be helpers anymore. They
Yep.
have to be the owners of those spaces. They have to fully do it so we can do the next level work that's needed to guide us to the 10 million.
Yep.
Um, yeah, it's a 10x kind of proposal we're talking about, to really
Mm-hmm.
be able to pull the right people in.
Yep.
So here's a few things that have helped us. And you've already shared some nuggets. I'll just go down an area we haven't talked about very much. You've tested them out by having them work with the team to say, are they team players?
Mm-hmm.
Team player is something that's a core value to you. It's a way you get things done,
Yeah.
right? It matters to you. You probably have some other core values as part of that vision of where you want to go, who you want to be, or
Mm-hmm.
who you are. Let's just say who you are.
Mm-hmm.
That though diversity of thought matters, diversity of where your priority is and what is a winning formula is actually dangerous.
Mm.
I'll give you an example. So,
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
let's say, great, we all want to go achieve this purpose, but to me, building trust is core.
Yeah.
And I'm the first to extend trust in a relationship. And I
Yeah.
make and keep my promises always to enhance trust. Okay, so this
Mm.
is just super core to me. While I may have a new hire or someone on the team who doesn't trust almost anybody, and they believe trust is only earned over years and years of time. And until then, I don't trust you. So I oversee everything. I make sure all the details are there. I'm doing right,
Yep.
which is
Kind of,
not a
kind of
bad value.
micromanagey. Yeah.
It's just a different one.
Yep.
If I need this person to rise to the top quickly, build a team, move on, do the next stuff, and they're slow to trust, then we're slow to grow,
Yeah.
right? In my
Yeah.
line of thinking, in my
Yep.
way of doing business. So, our ways of going about business, there's some core things that if my leadership team, especially, and then every member of my team, if we don't all live those, it actually slows us down tremendously. And it causes drama in the ranks, and it
Yep.
causes slow decisions, or it causes, errors to be hidden, or whatever the mismatch in values are.
Yeah.
It just drives me nuts. Makes it to where I hate working with this group, and I want to sell that business too. Not because I'm not passionate about the cause, but I'm no longer passionate about this team,
The team.
and
Yeah.
it's not fun. I don't know. Have you experienced any of that, Sean?
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I'm learning stuff and thinking about things as you're talking right now. Just yeah, there are times where I've definitely been guilty of that, maybe not trusting quite enough, and Another obstacle I've just that came to mind as you were talking about that is sometimes you feel like you have the right person in mind. There's a guy right now he was a 1099 freelance guy for us with a lot of our online advertising, and I would love to hire him full time because I know full like 100% he would be amazing. I've worked with him long enough. Our obstacle now is I don't we just can't afford him. So I don't know
Yeah.
if you and that's a different problem, but that's something I wanted to touch on as
Yeah.
well. And I don't mean to change the subject too much because I love the where we're at,
No,
but that was
but
something. Yeah.
let's play with both of them.
Okay.
So first piece, let's take this. How do I hire to fit? And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I mean by the core values. That other person's way of looking at trust, if all of the company looked at trust that way, it could work.
Yeah.
They didn't have this headbutting problem. I wasn't frustrated with how he does it the wrong way. The rest of us get it. Why don't you get it?
Yeah.
Right? We're all like slowed down because of the way you act. Well, if everyone was that way, it would work wonderfully. If
Mm-hmm.
everyone was the way he was, it would all work wonderfully. It's that he's different than everyone else on a core way of seeing and approaching people.
Yeah.
Everybody has different ways of approaching, but your business is going to have a handful, Sean, that are so deeply ingrained in who you are that it's not just your business, it's how
Mm-hmm.
you run your life.
Yep.
And the people who get you have similar values.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding those values and then codifying them to where it's like, here's some I'll give you. We genuinely care. We build trust. We face challenges with optimism. These are some of my core values in my business. Okay,
Yeah.
great. And we have them defined out, and we're kind of weird in some of our ways. Like, really? You go that far? Yeah, we really go that far. We believe in people and their dreams, right? We'll help someone go and start their own business and leave us. We believe that much in them and their dreams. Kind of crazy, but
Mm-hmm.
that's us. That's who we are. And those who stay with us love it. So then we look at that and we say, okay, we know who we are, we've identified it clearly, and these things help us excel and succeed. How do I make sure my next hire doesn't mess that up?
Mm.
So we have one of our interviews is nothing but a values check. And I have one of my team members who is just fanatical about the values and just like, I mean, you just feel it oozing out of her. She'll do
Mm-hmm.
that check. She'll do
Mm-hmm.
the interview with the person. And the interview is really simple. We tell them what our values are. And then we go back to one of them and we say, so this one, tell me why this value matters so much to you.
Yeah.
And they start talking about it. And if they sound professional and they give me good examples and it's logical and reasonable, I'm probably not going to hire them.
Really.
If I see if I see them spark just a little bit and I see this, oh, that one, oh yeah, let me tell you, and they have a story to tell.
Yeah.
They get into it just a little bit. Now, I don't need tears, but I have gotten tears. And I
Yeah.
don't need someone jumping out of their seat and excited, but I have had that.
Yeah.
What I do need to see is as we start talking about each of these values, they sort of forget they're in an interview and they're just loving it. And they
Yep.
start to say things like, wow, it's like I get to bring my whole self to this job. This looks so cool.
Yeah.
You guys are really like this? Like, yeah, when we live this value, here's what we put to it. And we'll share a story of how we sacrificed profits for that value because that value we served above everything else. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what? Yeah, that's what that one means. Or another client of mine, they have a value called integrity. You're like, well, that's a boring value. The way they defined it was willing to tell the boss he's wrong. Okay,
Wow.
so
Yeah.
here's the boss. That was integrity to him. You're willing to tell me I'm wrong. So say what you really believe. Say it like it is, right?
Yeah.
And well, when they hired someone who was more of a yes man, it was a failure.
Yep.
Didn't work, right? And so I need to see them engaging deeply with those values and getting excited by it. I'll know
Mm.
because afterwards they'll send me something else. They'll have a follow up. I'll hear things from them later. The values will come out from them more naturally and normally because they're like, I get to talk that way. Like, yeah, you do.
Mhm.
Because here, this is
Yeah.
what matters to us. Then I know they passed the values check. That's a screen level that you may want to look at. First,
Yeah,
getting
I'm
those
just
defined really well, and then being able to ask. You're right now testing it by having them work with the team for a while until everyone says, yeah, they're in,
yep.
which works. This way, you could get less failure rates with
No,
your testing
this
group.
is yeah, this is fantastic actually. I'm gonna because we have some great values that we go over, but I'm just realizing how much more we should be working on those. And so if you don't mind, like when you do the interview, like how is it that you're going? Like you kind of introduce the values, right? But like, what kind of questions are you asking? You know,
I
if you
mean,
were to,
you just heard my questions. Tell me
yeah,
why this value means to you, and give
yeah.
me an example of when you lived it in your life.
But are you asking them in advance? Like, is this something that resonates with you, or are you just telling these are our core values, and so are they kind
These
of
are our
all
core
advanced?
values.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then I just ask them, why is this one important to you? I don't ask them how did these resonate, but that's not a bad question.
yeah.
Check that out and see. But what I'm looking for is, I don't want a professional interviewer. I
Mm-hmm.
need a great team member,
Yep.
and I'm trying to see if I can see into who they are. Core values aren't ideas we say we're going to live. They just are who we are.
Yeah.
And I need to find that. I don't need to find someone who can show me they could live it. I want to
Yep.
find someone who does live it.
Yep. So you're basically just asking for their thoughts on each of your core values
I want their
and
thoughts
seeing.
and an example of living it.
Yep. Okay, that's actually amazing. I love that. So thank you for sharing that.
Once you've done like 3 or 4 of those or 5 of those with different people, you'll start seeing like, oh, I get it. I'm starting
Yeah.
to see the difference. That's
Yeah.
just one sliver. That's one
Yep.
sliver of an interview thing that may take yours up one more notch.
Yep.
Now, I'll do a 2-second thing and then we're going to need to wrap up time wise. But
Okay.
then you ask the question, hey, we got the great person, but we can't afford them.
Yep.
That's fair. And that's going to be the case sometimes.
Yep.
But there are 2 other things we can buy people with that aren't cash today. One of them is big cash tomorrow, and that's called equity.
Yep.
And you can decide how you use that and how much value this person really brings. Is it equity level value?
Mm-hmm.
And that can be played out over time, that it vests only after they've been with you and achieved certain milestones. You can put it
Yep.
right in there. Okay,
Yep.
so that's a currency, but I consider it a very expensive currency. The second one, though, which I use with every team member, is actually just the vision.
Mm.
Not just do you love travel,
Mm-hmm.
but do you love the impact it has on teams and families?
Yep.
Is this meaning in your life? Do you find a sense of purpose by helping people achieve these
Mm-hmm.
kinds of changes in theirs? So if I can create meaning, everyone's working all day long to earn money so they can go and have a meaningful life.
Mm-hmm.
Help them find meaning at work. You'll be
Yeah.
surprised at how much that can bring down. Second piece is belonging. Everyone's looking for meaning and they're looking for belonging. So belonging is this values fit.
Mm-hmm.
Do that well. They want to find a place that they can bring their best selves and be inspired to be even better, because the people around them aren't hypocrites saying what's important but doing something else.
Yeah.
They live it. So
Yep.
give them meaning, give them belonging. And the last one is a sense of contribution.
Mm.
All organizations, religious, uh, societal, we're trying to answer for these questions. My meaning, why am I here? My belonging, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
My sense of contribution, what are we about? So do we have a mission that's so meaningful? Like maybe it's something like uh, create 10,000 or better than 10,000, because you're doing individual people along there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get a bigger number. We're going to have 100,000 life defining moments,
Yeah.
or something like, paradigm shifting moments
Yeah.
created for
Yeah.
our guests by 2028 or by 2026.
Yeah.
We have a date, we have a goal that everyone's like, I don't know what your drive behind the travel is, but if
Mm-hmm.
there's some shift, if there's some ahas, if there's some to fully taste life again, to
Yeah.
break out of the shackles of social media, just looking here and get out here and
Yep.
explore. If that's what it is, I want my team members to say, oh, I'm not here to just earn a buck and build a business. We're going to go change something. And then we're
Yep.
measuring against it. And I can see how my job today is doing that. I
Hmm.
see the direct link. Now I have a sense of contribution. So, meaning, belonging, and contribution,
I'm gonna
you can
just
get people for a lot less on the
yeah,
dollars if you can
meaning,
give them
belonging.
what they really care about.
I'm literally just writing these down because these are just so good things. Like, because you're right. Like, if we, because that is where my passion is. Like, I know how much travel changes my life, not just because it's fun. That's an amazing part of it, of course, but it just opens your eyes. It just
Yeah.
it to me that's how you like really live life, and I love going out and visiting new cultures and learning about them, and like it's just so inspiring, it's so uplifting, it's so you just feel so alive when you're traveling and having these experiences, and so I want to share that with other people, and so I think, yeah.
And we want your team to know each one of them. I do this.
Yep.
I make these differences. And every day, as much feedback can come, reminding me the meaning.
Hmm.
That stuff, that's how you get a partner originally in the business. And your first few hires, they believe in what you're trying to do. They
Hmm.
get more passionate about it. It's not because you're full of cash usually. You may have been because you sold the business to come into it. But
Yeah.
most of us start up pretty bootstrapped. And
Yeah.
so, it can be challenging. But just know that is a currency that pays forever.
Hmm.
It pays forever. And, um, and to not give that to everyone who ever works for you is like taking from them a piece of
Yeah.
life. So even
Yep.
if you're going to pay them top dollar, give them this too.
Yep.
This is something that's pretty powerful. All right, we're
Yeah.
running out of time. Sean, if people want to have life altering experiences and really experience the world this way, how do they tap into what you do?
Yeah. You can download our app. It's a free download on the iOS App Store or the Android Google Play Store. It's just the Tripio travel app. And if you have a bigger team and you want to have more of like maybe a white glove experience, let us take your team on an epic excursion, to wherever across the world. You can just go to our website. It's tripioapp.com. So you can find us there. You can find me on Instagram, Sean Bingham on Instagram. We're always taking people all over the place. In fact, I'm leaving in a few days to Cabo. A few weeks after that, I go to Panama. A few weeks after that, I go to Iceland. Big groups too. We're talking 50, 60, 70 people on each of these. So we love it. But check out the app first, I'd say. Tripio travel app.
Very cool. Thanks so
Yeah.
much, Sean, for being on the show today. That wraps up this episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast. For all of you seven figure business owners out there, keep striving, keep learning, keep growing, keep pursuing your passion, and inviting your team along to do it. Until next time.